A guest brought a rare pre-publication copy to an appraiser named Catch-22. The book had a unique backstory. In September 1961, the guest's in-laws befriended Joseph Heller in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and he gifted them the book a month before its release. The appraiser explained that these copies were initially for publicity purposes. He highlighted the value added by the book's inscription. The appraiser noted that pre-publication copies are rare today, as most previews are now distributed digitally. Despite the book's utilitarian production, the copy was in good condition. The appraiser discussed the importance of Catch-22 as a classic 1960s satire. The title has become part of the English language. The appraiser explained the story and its main irony, focusing on Yossarian, a bombardier who wants to escape the war but is caught in the military's absurd logic. While acknowledging the historical significance of the book, the appraiser said,
"In this case, this pre-publication copy, signed, retail, is a $3,000 to $4,000 book."
Really? Wow.
This is a collection of ancient artifacts of Chinese origin. The guest inherited them from her great-great-grandmother, who purchased them in San Francisco.
I have been told they are 18th century from China. According to my mother, she may have purchased them in San Francisco, where she lived.
The collection consists of 2 jade tablets and a jade seal. The seal is surmounted with the double dragon and a cord. The tablets are incised with an official script and date back to the Guangzhou period in the late 19th century.
Firstly, we thought the plaques too were from the 18th century, but it's actually dated here, Guangzhou, first year of Guangzhou, which is 1875.
The jade is mottled in green, consistent with what would have been used at court. These imperial jade tablets are commemorative pages, part of a jade-paged book. The seal also bears symbols of imperial authority, and based on the quality presented, this collection is worth
An auction estimate of 20 to 30,000.
Okay. Wow.
These 2 paintings have a very interesting history behind them. Depicted in one of the paintings is an emotional scene from the movie Out of Africa. The paintings were presented by a guest who was part of the Film Society in Dallas. Out of Africa was a 1985 movie produced by Sidney Pollack. Pollack was an American film director, producer, and actor. As production design sketches, Pollack donated them to a film society that the guests belonged to. One of the paintings depicts a moment in the film where a lady alighted from a horse and is approaching a plane. This provocative painting would accrue a value of
probably sell between $2,000 to $3,000 at auction.
While the painting at the top shows a woman with dogs and a house in the background. At auction, this painting would be valued at
It would sell for approximately $1,000 to $1,500.
We also have a letter written and signed by Pollack, which came with the paintings. A letter with such a personal relationship to Pollack is estimated to be worth
It's a $50 to $75 letter.
Excellent.
We would expect that one would probably sell between $2,000 to $3,000 at auction.
Oh, wow.
This miniature dresser and bed has sparked interest. It's so well constructed that it has a comfy feel. The furniture items are scaled-down replicas of the larger bed and dresser. As seen, this miniature bed and dresser are true to scale with their larger counterparts, featuring the same Victorian design elements. The bed is made of walnut and chestnut and includes detailed carvings and a mattress. Also, the dresser has intricate pulls and a mirror, displaying a beautiful patina. Both pieces likely date back to the 1860s or 1870s and were possibly created as custom pieces to match furniture.
I would think this looks more like a salesman sample than the bed does.
Given their excellent preservation and historical significance, these pieces would fetch
The bed is probably worth between $200 and $350, and the dresser is probably worth between $450 and $650.
Oh, wow.
On the show today, we are discussing prehistoric Native American stonework artifacts. The McClung Museum in Knoxville, Tennessee, boasts a remarkable collection of these artifacts. Showcased are 2 figures, a male, nicknamed Sandy, and a female figure by its side. They were both found together on the farm of a person who sold them in Wilson County, central Tennessee. These figures date from circa 1250 to 1350 AD, and there are fewer than 100 of these figures in existence. Due to their rarity and historical significance, the female figure at auction would be worth
The insurance value on the female figure would be $300,000 to $500,000.
Meanwhile, Sandy, the male figure, would accrue a value of
I would value Sandy between $800,000 and $1.2 million.
We also have a collection of items called chipped stone items, totaling 46, including stone daggers, knives, and swords, all made from flint.
The material that they're made of is called shirt. Shirt is really a lower grade flint.
Additionally, they were found at the Banklink Farm in 1894 in western Tennessee. This collection is estimated to be worth
should be valued between $600,000 and $800,000.
Imagine being in possession of an incredibly elusive and possibly the largest Easter egg in the world. Well, that's exactly the thought process that went through the mind of this guest who brought this Faberge egg to the show. Faberge eggs are known for their craftsmanship and beauty, which are simply immeasurable, and they're often termed the ultimate collector's piece. Sadly, however, this piece brought in by the guest is not an original Faberge egg, but a fake.
It is an item that, while the craftsmanship is very, very good, it's an intentional fake.
Often termed as Faberge by collectors and appraisers.
And the first of which is the decoration here. You see that it's sort of punched work out. Each one should be individually chased.
Okay.
And then also on the wreaths, each one of those should be individually hand chased, and these ones have come out of a mold.
Although this piece is an intentional fake, it is still well crafted, and as such, would hold a value of
auction estimate or value for this today would be between about $3,000 and $4,000.
Okay.
A feeling of euphoria is what one would have if you ever owned a piece from one of the United States presidents. And that's just what this guest feels from owning this collection of memorabilia from Dwight D. Eisenhower. Eisenhower was the 34th President of the United States of America from 1953 to 1961. The items in this collection feature communications made between Eisenhower and a special assistant of his at the time called Kevin McCann. McCann was a biographer of Dwight D. Eisenhower and served as president of Defiance College in Defiance, Ohio.
He actually had worked for Eisenhower for many years. He started working with him during World War II. And then went with him to Columbia when he went there.
In this collection of memorabilia can be found texts written by Eisenhower to McCann, detailing how he wanted his speeches written for various events.
Things he would like incorporated in his speech, which is the second page over here. So this is sort of the command central, like these are the notes from the president on what I want done.
And a picture of the guest's mother at the White House. The memorabilia, especially the texts, take us through the entire process Eisenhower went through before giving his final speeches, and would be valued at
I would give this collection an auction value of $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, wow.
For the group. Yeah.
That's great.
a memento of the First World War. This guest's grandfather, who was of first-generation German descent, bought this piece in Iowa as a substitute for a firearm after the war.
I got it from my mother, who got it from her parents, and it goes back to my great-grandfather, who managed a shipyard during World War I.
This is an Ingersoll military pocket watch. It was customary for gentlemen to carry pocket watches during that period. However, during the war, it became impractical to carry pocket watches, so they were altered to be strapped onto the wrist. This watch shows the same type of adaptation for war. The manufacturer had strapped it to a leather piece so that it could be worn on the wrist, and a protective metal guard was placed over the dial to protect it from contact. The black enamel dial was also an adaptation for the war.
So we have a cross, but the cross also becomes an anchor, which is the anchor of hope. We also have two doves.
We also have a box used to advertise the watch, which has gone brown due to the radium. Presented in very good condition and protected over time, this military watch from the First World War would be valued at
auction, I would place a value on this of somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000.
That's a lot.
Health is wealth is a term that we've all become accustomed to, but proper salutations still have to be accorded to the men and women in the health sector. This physician's box, brought in today by this guest, is a testament to the gracious work done by those in the medical field. The box, a doctor's bag from circa 1905.
She was born in 1882. This bag you see here was her first original
doctor's bag.
Contains a record of the birth that the doctor, an obstetrician, carried out. Also included in the bag is an early stethoscope, as well as painkillers and other medications from that time period. Every item in this bag shows the efforts and leaps the medical field has continued to make to arrive at its present level.
A female doctor from 1905 and all of the equipment that went with her is just a phenomenal archive.
The items in this bag are highly appreciated by doctors, especially due to their historical significance, and would be auctioned at.
I would value everything that you have here in your collection at $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh my mother would be surprised.
This late 19th century Chinese Dwan stone screen was purchased at a Brooklyn flea market, and it dates back to the late Qing dynasty. The screen is made from volcanic rock, typically identified by its purple to green hue. This particular piece features a green hue carved in a cameo design.
So what they've done is incorporate the natural features of the stone, or slate.
The carving highlights a mountain peak, pine, and tree blossoms. It includes highly detailed relief work of a pine tree emerging from the rock base. Originally, it was mounted with iron painting hooks, but was meant to stand on a reticulated bracket base.
The carving's very, very highly worked.
The screen is unusually large for a Dwan stone, which is often used for small inkstones, and its intricate carving and size significantly increase its auction value of.
In today's economy, at auction, this would be worth between $7,000 and $10,000.
Wow.
This Bach Ferez vase from around 1930 is a stunning example of Art Deco ceramics. It was designed by the renowned Belgian artist Charles Cateau, who was a French Art Deco industrial designer. As seen, it features bold, geometric patterns and vibrant colors typical of the era. The vase is crafted from fine ceramic and displays Cateau's signature techniques of glazing and intricate surface design.
This is a work of the best-known Belgian potter, certainly of the interwar years.
Its shape is elegant and balanced, often with a bulbous body tapering to a slender neck. The decorative motifs include stylized flora and abstract designs, showcasing Cateau's innovative approach to ceramics. However, this piece represents the height of Cateau's work at the Bach Ferez Ceramis factory, a leading producer of fine ceramics, and is worth.
You're going to increase the value. I would estimate this piece of Bach Ferez to be worth at least $5,000 today, and perhaps $6,000 or $7,000, more than it's ever been. This is an exceptional piece.
From the vibrant tapestry of fashion history emerges this sleek garment, a relic from the 1870s, which the guest and her mother acquired at an auction.
The time period is 1870s, and there are several details that we know that make it that. First, the square neckline. That particular look was very popular in the 1870s.
This is a wedding gown made of silk satin, a luscious fabric so beautiful.
Little threads are, there probably was lace or rosettes or something like that sewn as well. Maybe some of the silk organza pleating that we see at the collar.
The waist of the mannequin wearing this gown is 18 inches. Women into this type of fashion would be corseted.
And on top of that, you would have put a slip, you would have put a large bustle pad or cage that actually was collapsible, so when you sat down, it would actually fold up.
The dress was custom made with no label, so we do not know who created it. Although we do know this is American made and it's in very good condition. Wedding gowns of this quality are quite collectible for their historical value. This beautiful garment, made with silk and some silk organza pleating at the collar, would be worth.
In today's market, this gown should retail between $1,500 and $2,000.
Well, it's very beautiful, and thank you. I've never seen it on a mannequin, so it really has come alive in a way I've never experienced.
This piece was gifted to this guest and her husband by an acquaintance.
It was in the home of her husband's uncle in West Palm Beach, and she didn't tell me anything about it except that it was blue.
It is a Durand art glass vase created by the Vineland Flint Glassworks, founded in Vineland, New Jersey in the late 19th century by Victor Durand Jr. This piece is a typical example of his artistic brilliance in American Art Nouveau art glass. The design on the vase features an immaculate heart and vine motif.
It's got these little yellow accents at the top, and they kind of bring out the yellows and the flowers. Newcomb College was a college that was open for women.
Signed on the bottom, this vase is a testament to his ingenuity, focusing on Art Nouveau vases during the Art Deco period. Preserved and presented in excellent condition, this vase has an estimated value of,
And our estimated at auction, this vase would sell for between $30,000 and $40,000.
Oh my goodness.
This guest is an enthusiast of North Coast Indian art, and he purchased this artifact from a Haida woman about 30 years ago.
I bought it about 30 years ago from a Haida Indian woman who had just retired from fishing, commercial salmon fishing on Prince of Wales Island.
This artifact is, in fact, a pestle made from very fine-grained basalt. The pestle is a very early work from this tribe, classified as pre-contact, therefore predating the late 18th century when first contact with white settlers occurred. It was likely used for grinding and other related activities. The top is carved into a raven's head, which is commonly used by the Haida. This ancient piece of artifact, presumably pre-Haida, is of great value, estimated at
a retail value for this would be in the region of $18,000 to $22,000.
No.
The guest's excitement turned to surprise during the appraisal, revealing the hidden history of their cherished highboy. The guest brought their antique curly maple highboy, collected with their husband. A friend in the business had helped them get it. The appraiser asked what the friend said about the highboy, and the guest replied that every antique collection should have one. The guest thought it was from New England, specifically Connecticut, based on where their friend got the most antiques. They bought it before 1964 and believed they paid several $1,000s. The appraiser confirmed it was a style from the 18th century, during the Queen Anne period. The highboy was made of figured maple, a wood from New England. However, the fan design and trifled foot were unusual for the period. The appraiser noted that different dovetails on the drawers suggested it was a married piece, reducing its value. While estimating the current auction value, the appraiser said,
I would place a conservative auction estimate of $500 to $1,000 on it.
Is that all?
That's it. Uh-oh, well, I hope I didn't ruin your day.
No, you didn't.
A family heirloom that has served the guest's family for years was brought today. It is a Turkish rug woven in the town of Kayseri, central Anatolia. Kayseri is a prolific weaving center that has borrowed designs from both Persia and other weaving centers. This item has a prayer design, making it a prayer rug. Prayer designs are always directional, and this rug has a distinct horizontal delineation where the colors changes.
Much of the prayer rug should be pointed towards Mecca when the participant is praying about 5 times daily.
This color change is a condition called a brash, where the dye lot is changed while weaving the rug.
And that's why you have this very direct, distinctive delineation of color.
One thing about rugs from Kayseri is that it's always a debate about whether they are made of silk or mercerized cotton. It has to go through a burn test. If the fiber doesn't hold the flame, it's real silk, and if it does, it's mercerized cotton. Woven circa 1915, this silk Kayseri prayer rug with directional design at retail would sell for,
in a retail store, silk prayer rugs such as this would sell for about $4,500.
Holy sweet Henry, okay.
So thank you so much for bringing it in today.
Thank you very much.
This mid-20th century Chinese jadeite vase was acquired at an estate sale in Nashville. It is made from jadeite, characterized by its icy white color and granular structure. Features pale green tones rather than the more desirable brilliant emerald green splashes. It has foliate carved handles and loose rings, showcasing the skill of the carver.
It's a shape that originated in China from an early period of time, from the Ming Dynasty, all the way through to the present day.
The main body depicts Guanyin, the goddess of mercy, accompanied by a carp on one side. Also, the other side features Guanyin in a different pose with finely carved swirling robes. This carving style is inspired by Indian Mughal jade carvings.
Well, the earlier ones, and the ones from the early 20th century, are very, very thin.
However, this vase is thickly sided, indicating it likely dates from the first half of the 20th century and would sell for,
I would say in an auction market, this is likely to realize somewhere between $12,000 and $18,000 in today's market.
All right.
We are presented with a vase the guest bought at a flea market in Virginia. This is a piece of Avon pottery from Wheeling, West Virginia. Dating back to 1902 or 1903, it has no artist signature on it nor any mark on the bottom, which is typical of Avon pottery pieces, but has a few features that identify it as one.
Number one, the shape is an Avon shape. They did not make that much art pottery, and they had relatively few shapes in production for the 2 years they were making art pottery at this level.
This item is special because it features penguin designs, which is unusual and attributed to Frederick Hurton Reed, a ceramicist and major figure in the arts and crafts movement.
Avon to Roseville to Weller to his own pottery in Santa Barbara to Homer Laughlin, where he designed.
This vase is decorated with the squeeze bag technique and the sgraffato technique.
Slip trail outlines to the decoration. There's also what we call sgraffito technique, where he actually incises lines and then works within those lines, almost like a cloisonne technique. So
the glaze on this vase looks oddly uneven, and with its slip trail outlines and beautiful design, at auction it would bring...
At auction, I would estimate this for between $2,000 and $3,000, and probably more like $2,500 to $3,500. But to be a little conservative, I think $2,000 to $3,000 at auction is what this piece would be worth.
Well, I did good.
The audience beheld an extravagant lamp that was delivered to a country home in the 1920s from Tiffany Studios in New York. But one has to be cautious of such lamps presented as Tiffany lamps because fakes abound. Louis Comfort Tiffany was a great designer who made the Tiffany lamps during the Victorian era. She specialized in glasswares and pioneered the use of electric lights, knowing that colored shades came to life when powered. This beautiful lamp is not just made of bright colored glass, but the glass itself is layered and soldered. But something unusual is noticed with this Tiffany lamp, as it is not marked or signed by Tiffany Studios, which should so normally be at the base or round the edge of the rim. Furthermore, most Tiffany lamps have handcrafted flowery tree bases connected to the globe and cone on top of it. However, because it is not marked, more research is required, lowering its valuation from what it could have been 10 years ago. A more realistic insurance valuation at this time is...
I would say for insurance, you've got to think about 20 or 30,000.
I have it insured for 25.
Worth about £50 in the early 60s, this pair of jugs looks unused and in good shape. The crystal-like body and golden decorations are still as sharp as the day they were made. It is rare to find such a pair of identical jugs with exquisitely crafted fruity vines intertwined up the sides. They were made in London by an artist named Paul Storr. On the jugs is inscribed the date that they were made, which is in 1838, and the initials of the maker. Paul Storr was one of the greatest silversmiths in the 18th century to the Victorian era, and this was one of his stunning designs. For their quality, this pair of jugs has a valuation around...
We've got a pair. Really, we should be looking at a value of somewhere around 30,000 plus.
What? Wow, that's fabulous.
This wonderful painting was made between the late 19th century to early 20th century by a Glasgow School of Art alum in Scotland. Her name was Bessie MacNicol, a member of the Glasgow Boys and Girls Art Club. It is a self-portrait showing an inquisitive look that has a lasting impression on whosoever beholds it. Glasgow School of Arts, the most famous school of arts in the world at the time, gave opportunities to boys and girls to showcase their talents, and Bessie MacNicol was one of them. The painting also showcases the bright-eyed, intelligent work of the artist before she passed at an early age. Like most countries, the Scottish love their paintings, which would make this painting worth around...
I think that this picture is certainly worth 25 to 30,000.
A family antique display presents a beautiful plate bucket that was used as a waste picker for years. This plate bucket has a gap at the front so that plates can be lifted easily and come as a pair. Plate buckets were to be loaded with clean plates in the kitchen and carried to the dining area with a yoke because of the weight. But this is a nice big-sized one for dessert plates rather than dinner plates. Particularly, there's a brass mount around the base depicting the age between 1810 and 1815, because they are currently out of fashion. For the value, depending on the quality, a pair would be around 6,000 to 8,000 pounds, but there's a possibility of a price increase. Hence, a realistic insurance value would be...
A pair of these should be insured for, say, £7,500 to £8,000.
Really? We certainly shouldn't be using this waste paper.
Well,
I should find another use.
The guest presented an extraordinary wooden punch bowl. This punch bowl was made with the dense wood known as lignum vitae. It was popular on sale during Christmas to have toast parties with friends and family. This stunning piece is the largest ever seen and can only compare to the punch bowl at the Victorian Museum. Having a crisscrossed lid with a spike on the top as a handle. Made in 1614, this bowl was kept away for decades by the owner. However, in today's market, it would be worth
could easily make £25,000.
Really?
Yeah.
So, okay.
This stunning pencil portrait was gifted to the guest by Andy White, an American visual artist primarily known as a realist painter working in a regional style. The painting, dated 1992, bears the artist's signature. It's interesting to note that the guest and White have been friends since the guest was 13 years old.
When Andy, we used to snowmobile together, took care of his cars, and we've just become good friends.
Also displayed is a photograph showing Andy White working on a painting alongside the guest. Some crease marks on the painting, common in the artist's work, can be discerned. Additionally, a personal note was written by White on the painting, dedicated to the guest.
For Andy Bell, from his friend, Andy White.
Given its excellent condition and embodying great artistry, this painting is estimated to be worth,
I'm thinking $30,000 to $50,000.
Out of town.
Yeah.
The guest's special photo from a late friend revealed a surprising link to star Jean Harlow and its hidden value. The guest received the photograph from a friend who had passed away. The friend collected movie star autographs. The guest had admired the photo for years, and the widow made sure they got it. The appraiser pointed out the signature, "To my darling Ruthie, don't forget me. So much love." He explained that Jean Harlow's mother often signed her photos, but this genuine one looked like Jean's. Born in 1911, Jean Harlow died in 1937. Despite her short life, she was a major star and inspired Marilyn Monroe. The photograph is likely dated to around 1935, at the height of Harlow's fame. The guest mentioned hearing that Harlow's death was due to kidney failure, caused by bleaching her hair. The appraiser said that her kidney failure might be from a childhood scarlet fever or hypothyroidism, made worse by heavy drinking that hid her symptoms. Even if diagnosed in time, treatment options like dialysis or transplants were not available until years later. While estimating the value of the photo, the appraiser said,
Jean Harlow photos like this, when they come up for sale, routinely sell usually in the $3,000 range at auction. We probably could do some research and determine who Ruthie is. Then you're looking at something that could be more like $5,000 to $7,000.
Known for its excellent heat retention, this pot's origin is traced back to Picurus, New Mexico. It was passed to the guest by her mother. The pot, used for boiling beans, also possesses the ability to be handled while still hot without causing burns. This specific pot was crafted by Regina Martinez, a renowned potter from the Picaris Pueblo.
In the 60s, the Pueblo had very few people living there, and this type of pottery had almost died out.
Martinez helped maintain this tradition of pottery making throughout her life.
So she learned how to do this when it was an active Pueblo.
The pot is made from micaceous clay, identifiable by its distinctive glistening spots, which are the mineral mica. These pots are typically undecorated, though this particular piece features small stamp decorations. While the market for such pottery is niche, its historical and cultural significance adds to its value at.
So if this piece came on the market at a prominent auction, the value would probably be around $1,000.
Okay.
It's fairly conservative.
It's her mother's music box. The Regina Music Box Model 35 retains its original gallery, mahogany finish, art glass front, and cabriolet legs. Crafted by the Regina Music Box Company, this was a popular advanced piece. The Model 35 used 15.5-inch interchangeable metal discs to play various tunes. Its serial number enables tracking of its purchase, sale, and manufacturing history. It has this smooth and classical sound. The discs and star wheels produce melodious sounds by plucking the tuned teeth of a steel comb. Regina Model 35 music boxes were treasured for their captivating melodies. With meticulous scrutiny, the appraiser valued the item.
I would estimate it at $15,000 to $20,000.
It's interesting. Thank you.
Been a gift to their dad upon his graduation from high school. The 1938 Hawaiian quilt is significant in art and cultural history. Hawaiian quilting blends indigenous motifs with techniques from 19th century missionaries. Queen Liliuokalani spurred a Hawaiian quilting revival amid social change. These quilts feature intricate designs inspired by Hawaiian nature and culture. They used a snowflake or applique on folded fabric technique, folding fabric multiple times for symmetrical designs. Such quilts have long been prized by collectors. Revealing its rich history, the appraiser valued the item.
At auction, the value would be somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000.
Oh my papa would be happy to know that.
Showcased on the show are a collection of silver horse racing trophies. The guest's grandfather won them from the 1950s to the 1970s. One of the trophies was won in 1966 with his horse, Amberoid.
As you said, the Wood Memorial is a prep race for the Triple Crown Series, and he won that race.
It is crafted from silver in tray form and features a beautiful horse motif on the front. At the back is the award plaque. Being an important piece of American horse racing history, this silver tray is valued at auction at...
I would put the insurance value on the tray at $6,000.
Wow. The second trophy was won at the Kentucky Derby and is crafted from sterling silver. At the bottom is the maker's mark. It was made by the Ensco Company, New York. Additionally, the trophy has an inscription to the guest's grandfather and the horse's name. Around its base, we can see 3 silver horse figures, giving it a distinctive look. In pristine condition, this trophy would fetch an auction value of...
The great trophy here, I'd put the value on that at $14,000.
No. Really?
Absolutely.
I had no idea.
On the show today, we feature a collection of comics that could transport us back to the excitement and wonder of childhood. This guest's mother purchased them for him at an auction sale. The comic books were written by Stan Lee, an American comic book writer, editor, publisher, and producer. On the covers of the books are artworks of Avengers characters, with the art done by Jack Kirby, an influential American comic book artist. The book shows minor wear, creases by the staples, and slight offset covers. One of the items on display is an Avengers comic book dated September 1963. Though not in mint condition, this book at auction would hold a value of
$4,000 to $6,000. No way.
The second comic book, also featuring the Avengers, is dated November 1963 and is estimated to be worth...
This would sell for around $450 to $550. Really? Wow.
After their neighbor, a bachelor rancher, passed away, the surviving bachelor brought something over as he sifted through the belongings. The 1898 F. Golki guitar is made by Friedrich Golki, a prominent late 19th century luthier. Golki, based in Germany, contributed to the country's renowned classical guitar craftsmanship. In ensembles with multiple mandolins, the guitar's soft tone would often be drowned out, making it less audible. Guitars like this emerged soon after the mandolin's rise in popularity, transitioning to larger sizes and adopting steel strings. It features cello purfling on the inside edge with spruce on the outside. The name F. Golki and the year 1898 are inscribed inside the instrument. Unveiling its historical significance, the appraiser valued the item.
The retail value would probably be in the $2,500 range, maybe a little bit above that.
Wow, that's
maybe
quite a bit.
2 Chinese porcelain pieces were presented, each with distinct histories and origins. The vase and porcelain box were passed down from the owner's mother, acquired during her travels. One vase, likely purchased in San Diego 30 or 40 years ago, features the Taoist immortal figure Louis Hai. He is depicted with his pet frog, a whimsical detail that add character and charm to the piece.
Taoist immortal figure named Liu Hai. He was a bit of a hermit, didn't have any friends except for the pet frog.
Louis Hai, known for rescuing his three-legged frog from wells using a string of coins, is depicted with intricate enamel work. This vase was identified as the older piece, dating back to the 1870s or 1880s. The second item, a porcelain-covered box, was brought back from China or Hong Kong and dates from the 1920s. Despite its younger age, this enameled box is highly valued for its colorful and well-preserved condition.
It has everything that the Chinese collectors, who do drive the market right now, really wish to see.
At auction, the total value of these two Chinese porcelain pieces could fetch.
This piece, if it were to come up at auction in 2018, would likely sell between $8,000 and $12,000.
Nice.
An engraved copy of a signed souvenir edition of the 13th Amendment was presented, originating from the late husband's estate of the guest's wife, who ran a used bookstore. The 13th Amendment, a cornerstone in abolishing slavery, was signed by President Lincoln in February 1865. It followed its passage through the Senate and House, marking a historic milestone. Souvenir copies, signed by Lincoln and congressmen, were created to commemorate this historic legislation. This particular engraving, printed by the Western Banknote Company in 1868, likely celebrated the ratification of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship following the 13th Amendment. This rare engraving, with only a few known copies at auction, conservatively fetches.
At auction, it conservatively sells for between $4,000 and $6,000.
Goodness.
A beautifully crafted Noah's Ark set was presented, filled with an extensive collection of hand-carved and painted animals. Most of these figures were made in Germany and became especially popular in the mid-19th century. The set is believed to have been produced through a collaborative cottage industry, with various talented artisans carving and painting these animals in pairs. This treasured item was given as a Christmas gift in 1996 by the guest's late husband.
I always felt it was a very special gift from him, and it's something my family will always cherish.
Although not rare due to their mass export to America, arks that retain their original painted surfaces and include a large number of highly valued, well-preserved animals. The animals are in remarkably good condition, making this Noah's Ark set worth, at auction,
in an auction situation, the Noah's Ark would be estimated in the $4,000 to $6,000 range.
Oh my.
It's very special.
Wow.
A detailed drawing by Ernest Spybuck, an absentee Shawnee Indian from Shawnee, Oklahoma, was presented by a guest.
He lived in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and that is also my hometown.
Created between 1910 and 1920, the artwork vividly depicts the traditional grass dance, showcasing Spybuck's exceptional attention to every minute amount of detail. The grass dance, a vibrant and rhythmic Native American tradition from Oklahoma, features dancers adorned in fringed regalia that mimic the swaying prairie grasses, celebrating renewal and harmony with nature. Ernest Spybuck, a proud absentee Shawnee artist from Oklahoma, captures the essence of his heritage in intricate drawings, blending history and culture with every stroke. This piece, tied to the presenter's hometown heritage in a retail setting, is valued at approximately.
We feel in a retail setting about $4,000 for this piece.
That's nice.
Clearly well engineered. That's what most people say when they see this cane.
Where did you get this?
It was part of a job lot in a
right.
local auction house.
Throughout the course of history, canes such as these have been used by key figures, but this one is special because it's called a botanist cane. It's even more special because it's patented.
And it's by Kellers Dubois of Paris, and it's got brevet, which is like the French patent.
It has specific features which helps it fulfill its purpose for the botanist. The cane is made from bamboo, which is a quality wood. To most folks, it might not be a treasured possession, but due to its patent and the quality of time, this cane would auction at.
Because of the Thomas Methven connection, I'm valuing it at £1,602,000.
You're kidding.